Let's try this again. Series number 1, game number 1, We Love Fountain versus Danny Carries is going to be played out on, of course, the Grand Arena. Welcome to the Grand Arena. It is We Love Fountain versus Danny Carries. That's that Mage Boomkin Holy Paladin versus the TSG with the Restoration Druid. Now, I feel like we've seen this matchup before, and We Love Fountain has always kind of been victorious. But this is an all-star comp of a TSG, if I ever did see one. Valito on that Death Knight Omnivore on the Arms Warrior, and Danny Carry on the Resto Druid.
Have we actually seen this comp? Usually we see TSGs playing with a monk, and I feel like a monk versus a Resto Druid is huge. Like, I think Druids have a way bigger advantage in this matchup.
It's a really good point, Ben. That being said, I don't necessarily know what to expect because we have seen that monk TSG get some pressure out, but never really anything after that. But the charge goes out onto Asper. It looks like both of these melee are going to be connecting onto this Moonkin, the Strangulate onto Floria. Asper forced to use that Barkskin right away as he is dipping down, but he wants to get offensive with his Celestial Alignment now. The Deep Freeze onto Danny Carry, but it is not going to be followed up. Nice stop on that Ring of Frost, and then the Masterful Reflect on top of it. The Fear onto Floria. Asper still in some trouble. That Barkskin still not available. The Save by Light is going to proc Floria, not popping any of his trinkets just yet, but those are the wings in the execution sentence to trade up all this aggression from the TSG. Now they're turning it around on Valito, dipping down to 50% health here as the Polymorph was on Danny Carry. Valito's still really, really low. It's going to force the Iron Bark and the Nature Swiftness as he dipped down to 11% health there.
Yeah, he's taking an unbelievable amount of damage. That was the Iron Bark, like you said, the Nature Swiftness. He also used his Death Pack, as well as Icebound Fortitude, his Lichborn heals, and AMS. So Asper and Majorden able to do so much damage there to Valito, almost an unbelievable amount, but that was Asper's Celestial Alignment. That was the Frozen Orb from Major Cakes, and Danny Carey still sitting pretty with his Trinket, although he doesn't have NS and Iron Bark up. He's going to be able to keep those Hots rolling. Vigil's just about to fade now, so his Hots are going to be a little bit less powerful, but this matchup's going to be basically, it's going to be up to Majorden to push in for the deep sheeps onto Danny Carey, and it's going to be up to Valito and Omnivore to shut that down. And if they can shut down those sheeps onto Danny Carey, it's going to be really hard for them to actually land a kill. But Danny Carey getting deep frozen into the Ring of Frost from Majorden. He's going to decide to trinket that. He knows Valito's in a lot of trouble. He doesn't have too many cooldowns left, so he doesn't want to fall too far behind. He's going to throw out those Trents, and he's going to be able to keep Valito up for now, but that is another cooldown that Majorden and Asper are slowly working through.
Yeah, you know, they actually hodged up somebody on Danny Carries to try to prevent that peeling from occurring, and there's the full Polymorph onto Omnivore. He's going to get dispelled out of it, but now a DR1 is going to land, and that cross CC, it really does continue the momentum of We Love Fountain and stop the prevention of the setup. But here we go. It looks like they're going to be looking at Magi Cakes now, but Magi Cakes going to get that Deep Freeze onto Danny Carries. Nothing to follow it up just yet, but Danny Carries is going to put that Iron Bark onto Valito, seeing that Deep Freeze come out. He's just scared of that setup. Asper now taking a whole bunch of damage. The double stun on the Asper and the Floria goes out. Asper dipping lower to 45% health here. The Barkskin still active, reducing a lot of this damage. Floria forced to use his wings once again, and both teams are forcing defensive cooldowns from one another. At the moment, this is a pretty close game. I can't necessarily tell who's in the lead, but that Trinket from Danny Carey is going to be detrimental as we go longer into this game.
Yeah, but Valito does have his AMS up, Death Pack coming back up as well as his Lichborn, so he's going to be able to heal himself a little bit. Icebound also coming up in 41 seconds, so Valito does have a lot of his cooldowns left. Danny Carey sitting those Polymorphs for now. Valito's just going to use that Anti-Magic Shell to prevent some of that incoming damage, but we're going to be looking out for Asper's Celestial Alignment. It's coming up in 14 seconds, and that's really going to be their opportunity to throw out a lot of burst onto Valito if they can get CC onto Danny Carey, who doesn't have his Trinket up for another 26 seconds. So if they can line up that burst before the Trinket comes up, they might be able to land a kill onto Valito. But this TSG is going to be I don't see them really landing a kill against Major and Asper Floria until a little bit deeper into dampening, when Floria his healing's a little bit worse. So they're going to be trying to delay this game as long as possible, put out as much pressure, and basically just shut down Major and Asper from actually winning the game. And eventually the high damage coming out of the Death Knight and the Warrior will maybe prevail.
Maybe Floria now in that fear. He's going to trinket right out of it, as this is quite a bit of damage coming out. That was a Celestial alignment coming out from Asper as well. Didn't really get all that much done, so that's good news for them. But there's the Hodge into Valido. He's going to get out of it, but the full polymorph is landing onto Danny Carey. That's going to force the AMS as well. And this TSG looks like they're rotating through their defensive cooldowns quite efficiently so far. Danny Carey's still in that polymorph, and Valido at full health for now. Danny Carey now has every button in his arsenal to keep up his Death Knight moving forward, and Floria does not have his wings or his trinket. There's the full clone that was stolen onto Floria from Asper. Asper is going to get gripped back. The Stampeding Roar coming out as well. Floria using that wings and execution sentence is going to top Asper right off though.
The double Ring of Frost coming out from Majorden there on the Omnivore, as well as Danny Carey, so well placed by him. Danny Carey actually trinketing that up into the DR Sheep, but he managed to get the Ironbark as well as a few hots onto Valido. AMS coming out as well, but like we said, Asper's already used his second Celestial alignment, so he's not going to have that cooldown available for another 2 minutes. And I mean, if we look at the defensive cooldowns of Majorden, Asper, and Floria, Floria still has Bubble 2 Bops ready to go if he needs it. Barskin's still available for Asper, both blocks ready for Majorden, so they're still sitting very, very pretty. Meanwhile, Danny Carey getting deep frozen into the polymorph, but Omnivore pulling back, using that mass spell reflect to deny Majorden that incoming poly. But because they didn't get the CC onto Danny Carey, Valido's going to get cloned up by Asper until they potentially can get some CC. But Danny Carey using that Shadow Meld to avoid even more polymorphs coming in from Majorden. Now Asper's in a lot of trouble. To say about the light proc on him, he isn't bare form. That is the full fear on the Floria. Floria has no trinket for another 22 seconds, but there's not going to be too much follow-up CC. And he's going to be able to top off Asper. Danny Carey, meanwhile, caught into the full deep freeze sheep, so finally Majorden landing that CC onto him. The Hodge on the Omnivore is going to immediately answer that with that Enrage Regeneration, pardon me. And he's going to be completely fine for now, but that's just another cooldown this team is slowly working through.
You're absolutely right. We are at 5% dampening here, and the advantage is starting to grow for this. This is the Recklessness coming out from Omni, or Asper dipping lower and lower. Floria not into any CC just yet, so Asper should be A-okay, but it looks like they're going to be swapping over onto Floria, at least Omnivore is, and doing quite a bit of damage to him as well, but he's going to juke that kick, so he's going to get the free cast off and be A-okay. Now swapping back over onto Asper here, and this TSG is starting to gain momentum as the percentage of that dampening goes up and up. The Stormbolt's done, and the Asphyxiate onto Floria. Asper dipping down to 50% health here. Even the Bash onto Magi Cakes as well, and the Save of the Light is going to proc, and Floria is also going to use that Avenging Wrath, but now they're swapping the damage over onto Danny Carey. They're trying to set up onto him. He's going to Barkskin in the meantime, but Asper trying to push in, trying to get offensive, is being punished. Celestial alignment still active for him, but yeah, that's the Hand of Sacrifice coming out from Floria as well, keeping his Boomkin offensive. Now Omnivore taking a whole bunch of damage. That's going to force the Ironbark right before the full polymorph on Danny Carey, and I don't think he got that nature. Oh, he did get the NS off, but it doesn't look like it did anything.
It didn't do too much, but Omnivore's not going to be taking too much damage, as he did have the Die by the Sword as well as the Ironbark up. But now it fades down to 4% HP. Rallying Cry coming up for Omnivore, and Danny Carey is going to use that Nature Vigil. He needs to empower his healing. He needs to top off Omnivore. Asper under a lot of pressure, though, at the same time. Doesn't have that Save by the Light proc. That was the bop on him as well. Floria also using his bubble, so Floria only really has one bop left. Asper under a lot of pressure, as well as Omnivore. Omnivore has that Enrage Regeneration coming out in 20 seconds. Danny Carey has no trinket, though, so if there's a time for Majorden and Asper to kill, this would be it. Omnivore has no cooldowns. Danny Carey has no trinket. So if they can land this full polymorph, that is the full polymorph on the Danny Carey. Omnivore is going to be in a lot of trouble if he gets hodged up here by Floria. It could be the end of his life, but it looks like there's not going to be a Hodge coming in. This Master Butterfly coming in to deny more CC onto Danny Carey. Well done by Omnivore. And Danny Carey is going to be able to hopefully get some heals onto him shortly. Still has no hots. Omnivore being really aggressive right now. They want to keep the pressure, the momentum rolling onto Asper. Finally, Danny Carey able to get those heals out. Trent's coming out as well. Omnivore should be fine for now. Asper still has no Barkskin for another 40 seconds. He did use it during the last burst, but now Danny Carey caught into the full deep freeze, full polymorph coming in from Majorden. There it is. Omnivore getting hodged up at the same time, and Rage Regeneration coming out into the DR Bash. Asper at 50% HP. Omnivore also very, very low, pulling back to the safety of Danny Carey. He needs to get to that pillar. He needs to be able to line of sight this Boomkin and this Mage to avoid some of this incoming damage. Danny Carey can get the Ironbark, though, as well as the ANS. Floria actually has his wings up as well, so he's going to be able to stabilize some of this pressure coming in from the Warrior as well as the Death Knight, and he's going to be able to top off Asper finally.
Yeah, the Floria's wings is just keeping Asper so very offensive there. And Omnivore is so scared as the deep freeze lands on Danny Carey into the full polymorph once again. The setup just keeps happening over and over and over again. Omnivore going to use that dive of the sword out of the Hodge. The DR polymorph lands onto Danny Carey, and Omnivore still in a lot of trouble here in the middle of the map. The Mass Butterfly is going to come out, and he's trying to get back behind the pillar with his Restoration Druid, but he just can't get there. The Stormbolt goes out on Asper. The bash on the Mage Kicks. He's going to offensively block out of that. Omnivore's still in so much trouble at 44% health here. Danny Carey is working with very little defensive cooldowns. He does have a trinket finally, but no NS, no Ironbark just yet. The Hodge, the deep freeze once again, but nothing to follow it up onto Danny Carey. He's actually going to trinket out of that deep freeze, I think, and keeping Omnivore completely offensive, but now at 26% dampening the double stun setup from this TSG. Once again going out into Asper and Floria. Asper in a bit of trouble, dipping down to 60% health here, but this TSG is just putting the pressure on wherever. Velito on Majidin and Omnivore on Asper. He's going to pull back into the safety of his healer's range, and he's going to Blade Storm all over Majidin at this point. But man, this is a very close game. I can't actually tell who has the clear advantage at this point. As we get deeper and deeper into dampening, I feel like this TSG is going to be scary. But this is Celestial Alignment onto Omnivore. The Ironbark coming out, the Nature Swiftness as well, trying to keep Omnivore offensive. Danny Carey desperately trying to heal him up through this Celestial Alignment. The full polymorph goes out onto Floria though. Asper using that Bark Skin, and Celestial Alignment is going to fade, and the TSG is going to push in on him.
Yeah, the bop coming out from Floria as well as he has caught into that Asphyxiate. But Asper's in a little bit of trouble. Majidin only has one block available too, so really this TSG can hit either Asper or Majidin and be very, very effective. Floria actually getting hit up by Velito right now, trying to make it hard for him to get effective use out of those wings, but the full Hodge out on Omnivore at the moment. So much damage crashing in. This is the Icy Veins of Majidin. This could just be the game, and that's going to be it. The dive of the sword coming up at the last second, but they were able to just finally get through all those cooldowns of Omnivore and Danny Carey and finally score a kill with that cooldown Icy Veins.
Yeah, man.
And some well-timed burst.
I mean, when it comes to the overall control of We Love Fountain, I feel like that really trumped the consistent pressure of this TSG. I mean, eventually, there was a point where they just ran out of buttons. You know, no Trinket, no Nature Swiftness. I think he had Rallying Cry available to him, but I don't know if that's really going to save him in a situation like that. And the very first game of this best of 5 is going to go to We Love Fountain, the previous tournament champions.
Yep.
All right, so let's figure out what map we're going to be going on next. Is this TSG going to bring it to like Dalaran or maybe even Ruins?
Is this a best of 5?
Yes. Is it? Is it a best of 5?
Yes.
Semifinals.
Yes. Yeah, it's the best of 5.
Okay.
Let me just double check. Majidin, same comp, I assume.
Yeah.
All right, Majidin is going to be running the same composition, and we're going to bring it to Dalaran Sewer. So, a much smaller map with this double melee to get onto these range targets.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's jump into it. Game number 2, Dalaran Sewers. I'm going to find it eventually. There it is. Welcome to Dalaran Sewers. We Love Fountain. All of a sudden, the sound got very loud there for me. I don't know. Let me know if the in-game sound is loud for you guys in chat. But this Mage Boomkin Holy Paladin team did get pressured quite a bit, but I don't know, man. They're gonna have to change something up. Danny Carey's, I feel like there was a lot of opportunity where I think that they just need to pull back and wait and be patient instead of being out in the open and letting them set up on them over and over when they don't have the buttons to survive through it potentially. But here we go. Dalaran Sewers could be a completely different story. Right away, Velito running in, getting on to, looks like Asper. Floria now stunned. Asper going to get stunned as well. Going to choose to use that Bark Skin right away. This is Reckless's Blade Storm as well. Deep Freeze goes out onto Danny Carey into the full ring. The Poly onto Velito. The Hodge on the Omnivore. CC just everywhere. It's going to force the dive by the sword right away, as that was Celestial Alignment as well as the regen. Omnivore still in a lot of trouble as Danny Carey's caught into the DR Polymorphs out of that. Finally, an Ironbark is going to come out as well as the Nature Swiftness onto Omnivore, keeping him offensive. Now Asper dipping down to 50% health here, but he should be completely fine with Flora's wings still up.
Yeah, Floyd getting caught into that asphyxia, but Asper doing a great job kiting around right now, just rooting up Valido and Omnivore. He's going to be completely fine at the moment. Floyd is going to get out of that CC. And meanwhile, Danny Carey getting deep sheeped once again. Omnivore taking a little bit of damage. Some Ice Nose coming in from Majorden as well as the Comet Storm. And now the repolymorph on a Danny Carey. That is the full Hodge on the Omnivore. Danny Carey does have Trinket if he needs it. Looks like he's going to be able to sit that, throwing out some heals. The beam actually going out from Asper on the Omnivore, I think trying to deny that rallying cry, maybe a little bit of a waste. He was able to just get out of that very, very quickly. Asper now taking a lot of damage down to 39% HP. Floria caught into that asphyxiate. Floria now out of it, going to throw out that execution, send its top off Asper immediately. He's going to be completely fine at the moment. Danny Carey actually using his Nature's Vigil, so that's going to fade very shortly. But for now, his HOTS are extra powerful. But Omnivore actually getting fully hodged up. Danny Carey into the Frozen Orb though, so he's going to get deep cloned. He's actually going to trinket that, throw out that Ironbark on the Omnivore at the moment. So that was well done by Danny Carey to push into that Frozen Orb. But Asper sort of shutting down that by throwing a clone on him, and then actually able to force the trinket on the Danny Carey. So well done by him. Asper taking a lot of damage still. The Barskin coming out. Floria getting asphyxiated once again. It looks like this map is playing out much, much better for this TSG. They're able to easily sit on Asper. He doesn't have much room to kite, and they can get that consistent asphyxiate onto Floria and keep up that consistent damage onto Asper, and it seems like it's working out much better for him this game.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of efficient trades, man. They really are. Floria forced to use the wings again there. But the Hodge on the Omnivore into the DR Bash, and the ring still on Danny Carey. Omnivore at 3% health here. The Rallying Cry, the Die by the Sword. Danny Carey going to Nature Swiftness as well, but that rally will fade very, very shortly. Omnivore going to heroically back behind the pillar with Danny Carey to try to stabilize there. But in the midst of all that, Apps were actually catching a bop from Floria, so still getting defensive cooldowns regardless of how much damage is going out. The Fear onto Floria now. They're trying to connect, it looks like, onto Majorden for now. The Hodge on the Omnivore, the Deep Freeze on the Danny Carey. They're setting up once again. Nothing to follow it up onto Danny Carey just yet. They couldn't get the Polymorph. He was in bear form, the Iron Bark on to Omnivore, but it's going to get offensively cloned. And if they can get that followed up, that Iron Bark will be rendered just completely useless. Now the charge back on, and this is Recklessness coming out from Omnivore. He wants to get offensive as the stun goes out onto Floria, and Asper going to go ahead and trade that up with the Barkskin, preventing a lot of that damage as well. Their Blade Sword coming out on both of this DPS here, and it would seem, oh, the stun, the setup from this Wheel of Fountain is always there. Danny Carey caught into the full ring, however, and Omnivore is very scared. He has no buttons available to him at the moment, and he will go down. And Wheel of Fountain just setting up over and over and over again, getting those efficient trades, and regardless of a small map like Dalaran Sewers, they will take the second game of this best of 5 series.
Yeah, and if you're Omnivore, Valido and Danny Carey, what map do you even take it to? Like, you can go to Runes of Lordaeron, but any other map is huge, and it's going to be really hard for them to be in the open, be overextended in the open. They'll get punished very hard by this Wizard Cleave, so they weren't able to make it happen on that map. I feel very scared for them on the upcoming maps.
Yeah. I mean, at this point they have oh, here, let me show you guys the score screen. At this point they have Ruins of Lordaeron for another small map, but I don't know if Ruins of Lordaeron really is gonna be what they need.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. That is a rough position to be in for this TSG. They have to bring it back 3-0 if they want to make it to the finals here against one of the hardest teams in the whole tournament. But here we go. We're going to go ahead and figure out what map they want next. Thank you guys for coming and tuning in to GCD TV number 18. I do have some exciting news at the end of the tournament for future events, so make sure to stay tuned for that, guys. Some announcements to make. So yeah.
Welcome.
Whoa. I turned on audio, or like the narration of like the NPCs and stuff like that, and I clicked on someone from my garrison. Do they all
really?
have that?
Good to see you, Commander.
They all have that.
Order.
This is a whole new game. Whoa. All right. Sorry. They got me way too excited, but here we go. We're going to jump into the third game of this best of 5 series, guys, and it will be played out on Tiger's Peak, chosen by Valido, I believe. Man, if you guys want this TSG to win, make sure to give them your energy. They're going to need it if they're going to take 3-0 against Wheel of Fountain.
Dude, Yeah, man. But
What's
my
up?
quality on the stream is not that great for the webcam. I wonder why.
I'm telling you, it's Skype. Skype does
Yeah.
it. Oh, I have actually, I have some advice from someone of what program we should use next in regards to webcams, and I tested it, and it looks so good.
Okay.
And I think it's actually even good enough for me to chroma key you if you ever wanted to green screen it up.
Ooh.
Ew. But yeah, both teams playing the same compositions, it would seem. That TSG with the Restoration Druid, and also they had Mage, Boomkin, Holy Paladin as well. This is looking dire for Danny Carries, I must say, man. I don't know. Man, this chat is loving you right now, Ben.
Are they?
Yeah. just the long drawn out sigh in response. I would love to see Mez come and compete in these tournaments. He's quite possibly one of my favorite players to watch stream. But here we go. The gates have opened. It's the Resto Druid TSG, and Mez as a DK, if he is watching, he probably wants his TSG to do good, so he has reassurance that a composition that he can play can be top tier. But here we go. They're going to jump onto Asper once again. Asper tipping, so they just chunk Asper's health. It's actually crazy. Fluar now caught into that stun. Asper actually going to get out of that stun and use his Bark Skin. Save of the Light proccing as well as the wings being forced out of Floria. The preemptive Ironbark Om to Omnivore keeping him offensive here. The Celestial Alignment coming out from Asper. The Fear onto Floria, and also the Bash onto Magen. And Floria is still taking a whole bunch of pressure here, but the defensive cooldowns from Danny Carey is going to consist of a Trinket, Nature Swiftness, and Ironbark, though. So I don't know. That was a costly trade.
He used everything. Omnivore used his Enrage Regeneration. He used Dab of the Sword. Basically, the only thing he didn't use is Rallying Cry, so that's all they have to work with. Now that Danny Carey's caught into this full ring, that is the bash on Omnivore. If they can get the DR Hodge, there it is. Omnivore could be in a lot of trouble. All he has to save him is that Rallying Cry. Down to 10% HP. Rallying Cry coming in. The Root Beam coming out onto Danny Carey. Is it going to be enough? 1% HP. Somehow he gets a heal, but Rallying Cry is going to fade in the next couple seconds, and that's it. And they were able to just force everything in the opener, and that's going to be the game. Magen and Asper Floria just dominating this team.
That was a good call, man. You're like, they don't have any buttons left, D-Machine. I don't know if you noticed that, but they used every single button. And we just saw it there. I mean, the second setup came around, and down goes Omnivore. And that's going to be a clean 3-0 from Leela Fountain, and they will go to the finals. And whoever else is going to be going to the finals is probably a little scared, because it does look like Magen, Asper, and Floria are on their game tonight. Taking a quick look at that score screen, guys, so you can see what exactly did happen there. Floria crit a 20,000 denounce. Is that normal?
Yeah.
Wow, I need to press that button more.
Yeah, it's the best button ever. It's actually insane when you think about how much value denounce has. What is it? Cost no mana.
No mana.
Gives you crit, steals their crit, and it does the highest damage of like anything besides a lava burst. And the lava burst has a cooldown.
And it's instant cast, essentially.
Sometimes instant or exceptionally fast. It's actually, it's a pretty good button, I'd like to say.
I should probably get that button somewhere convenient to press. Much more convenient. I have it for like mouse button 9. It's like a very awkward button for me to hit. But
like a use like a.
I use a Razor Naga.
You totally do. I knew.
I'm one of those, man.
The Rat Pally, Razor Naga, like.
Rat Pally,
I don't think it gets any worse. I'm just kidding.